We want to talk to you about Sharon Osbourne because I saw your post yesterday. You really loved her. You worked with her 5 seasons on America's Got Talent, and you know her very well, and she was with us on set when we were reporting on the Queen's funeral. Tell me what you thought about that reaction yesterday. There were so many people lining the streets of Birmingham. You know, it's very sad in one way. I watched Sharon yesterday. I got tears in my eyes watching her because I've known Sharon a long time. She's a very, very close friend of mine, and to see her so broken the way that she was. They were married almost 50 years. Wow. And they never pretended they had the perfect marriage. They had probably more problems than most marriages would ever go through, but what they had underneath it all was a huge love. It was a strong, huge love that never died. And when I saw Sharon without her Ozzy, it really made me want to cry, actually. My heart breaks for Sharon. She's a wonderful lady. And I think that Ozzy, I think the way he left us, the number of people who came out and almost part sad and part celebrating this amazing guy's life, I think people have been surprised by how many people came. And there's going to be a private funeral today, I think, with just a few family and friends. But yesterday for Ozzy was him saying goodbye to the people of Birmingham. And I've not seen crowds like that for somebody's funeral in the UK, probably outside of a royal ceremony. So it was amazing. I was saying Mr. Gene Simmons earlier that they didn't pretend to be perfect human beings. They accepted their mistakes. They were very open and honest about stuff that went wrong. Sharon never said she had the perfect marriage. She knew who she was married to. She knew he was a bit of a wild boy, Ozzy. But Ozzy said to me many times, he could never have done any of this without Sharon. When Ozzy passed away, Sharon's whole world seemed to fall apart. The man she had loved from the very first sight, the one who had walked with her through the darkest times of addiction. Betrayal, sickness, and media attacks was now gone. Sharon didn't just lose her husband, she lost a part of her soul, half of herself. People saw her at the funeral, not screaming, not falling down, just quietly shaking as if her body was fighting an inner earthquake. It was a quiet pain, but deep enough to swallow her whole heart. No one knew Ozzy better than Sharon, and no one loved him enough to forgive everything he had ever done except her. For almost 50 years, she fought not just to keep a marriage together, but to keep a wild soul safe. The artist she looked up to, but who had also broken her heart time and time again. And now, with nothing left to hold on to, it was Sharon who was left behind in an endless emptiness. Underneath it all, Ozzy couldn't live without Sharon, and Sharon couldn't live without Ozzy. And that's what's so sad, I think, about today, is that Sharon now doesn't have him, and my heart really breaks for her for that. And the kids, yeah, their father is gone. Yeah, the dad of the family. I saw a video of Jack Osbourne's little kid pointing at the TV when Ozzy was on one of the videos and just, being amazed and all that. Well, I was attracted to Sharon for many years. We would see each other in airports and at festivals and different things along the way. She always had this contagious laugh. She was fun, And then when I was in Black Sabbath, we were thinking about being managed by her father, who was a big manager at the time. And then I got fired from Black Sabbath, and I thought, I'm done. I'll go back to England. And Sharon knocked on my hotel door one morning and said, I want to manage you. And I couldn't believe it. And then I thought, does she want me? Then we went to San Francisco. We were with another friend of ours, a guitar player called Gary Moore. And him and his girlfriend and Ozzy and I went on a trip for a weekend to San Francisco. I thought that was it then when he said he was trying to find my room. We were in a hotel, but I had booked in under another name, and Ozzy couldn't find my room. All night I was going to say, can I come on watch your TV? That was my pickup line back then. Very fancy, wasn't it? We were meant to be, I think looking back, we were meant to be together. Yeah. Our lives kept crossing from it was crazy. I'd go, oh, this is weird. We kept running into each other every year. One of the best things about Ozzy is his sense of humor. Always had me laughing no matter what, and still does. We can be in the worst situation and deal with it, but at the end we still manage to laugh about whatever it is. Ozzy will turn it into something funny. And that's a great gift that he has. He's a pain in the butt, but he's never been a diva or pretended to be somebody he's not, or because he was famous then he acted a certain way. He's always been very true to who he really is, and I really admire that about him. And he's also very giving. Sharon is like my soulmate. Sometimes I love her, sometimes I don't love her, sometimes I'm angry with her, sometimes I'm crazy about her, sometimes I'm very jealous of her, sometimes I want to kill her. But through it all, at the end of the day, I love her more than anything in the world. I put it this way, I couldn't live without her. I don't want to live without her. And my love for her now is bigger than it ever has been. We had a bumpy road, what I never could understand, and they both lived happily ever after. That is a bunch of lies, because when you get married, that's the hardest contract you will ever sign in your life. And people today get married, oh, let's get married, and then 3 weeks later they get divorced. A marriage is a deal with someone, and you fall off the wagon, but you get back on again. But when I was sick with cancer, you used to carry me to the bathroom and back, but that's what it's about. I do. You don't think twice. Love is such an overused word, but we do love our dogs. The love I have for you and my kids is a love that you can't buy. You can't buy. And a dog's the only love you can buy. The love between Sharon and Ozzy Osbourne didn't begin with sweet words. It began with chaos, rebellion, and a feeling they couldn't explain to stay connected. Sharon first met Ozzy when she was just a young woman, the daughter of Don Arden, the manager of Black Sabbath. Back then, Ozzy was a wild, messy, and troubled rocker. But there was something about him that Sharon simply couldn't look away from. It wasn't just his stage presence. It was the raw, deeply flawed, but completely honest man behind the craziness. After Ozzy was kicked out of Black Sabbath in 1979 because of drug problems and losing control, most people thought his career was over. But it was Sharon who pulled him back from the edge, becoming not only his manager and lover, but eventually his wife for almost half a century. They married in 1982, and from that moment on, their life became a series of battles not just with the world outside, but with the demons Ozzy carried inside. He had often fallen into drinking too much, drugs, and violent behavior. There were times when Sharon almost gave up, but somehow she always came back. Not out of weakness, but because her love was big enough to fight for the other person. She once said that she had lost Ozzy many times, every time he almost died from an accident, from addiction, or from the Parkinson's disease that slowly hurt his body over the years. When Ozzy was told he had Parkinson's in 2020, Sharon was once again the one standing behind him, facing the media and the truth for him. She didn't cry, didn't fall apart, she just held his hand and moved forward. And it was this lasting love that kept them together for 50 years. Not perfect, stormy, but true and never giving up. In the end, Sharon was not only Ozzy's life partner, she was the one who saw his downfall, helped him rise, and then saw him off. All in the span of one lifetime. I love her more. I love my husband so much more than when we first met. I was a bad boy for many years. The love has just got better, deeper, and we're blessed to have found each other. I mean, it must really hurt when people have affairs for 10 years and then they get found out. That must really hurt. I can only imagine. It's heartbreaking. It breaks people, and then you have to fix yourself again. It's so, mama, I could be right. I could be wrong. It hurts so bad. It's been so long. Mama's coming home. Picture's right before you. I'm going to take it. You texted with him, you said. Yeah, I texted with both of them because it's heartbreaking, but also, if you could have written a script for a way for Ozzy to go, actually, I think what he would have done is said, I would like to have a farewell concert in Birmingham, the city where he grew up as a young boy, where Black Sabbath were formed. I'd like all my friends, Metallica, Guns N' Roses, all these guys. I'd like all my family, they were all backstage. I'd like thousands of Brummies, that's what we call people from Birmingham, all with their Birmingham accents. I'd like them all in the crowd going crazy. I want to perform a few hits and say goodbye and then say farewell. And I texted him the night before, and I read it yesterday just to remind myself, and he just said, oh, I'm really excited. We're in Birmingham, the final show, and then that's that. And when I read that text again, I was like, wow. It was almost like he was putting a stamp on the end of his life, And if you said to Ozzy in his 30s and 40s, you're going to live to 76, he'd have gone, I'll take that. He had a wild, crazy life. He was one of the funniest people I've ever met in my life. And he was in this, he was in a wheelchair where they put him in a big black throne and they raised him up. And for that night, Ozzy was king again back in Birmingham with his friends, with all his family backstage. And I just think if he could have written the script for actually the last we ever saw of him, it wouldn't get better than that. My son and I were at Ozzy's final show, just less than 3 weeks ago. It'll go down as one of our best metal memories. That the love and outpouring of appreciation support there, it was literally chilling. I teared up more than once. What Ozzy gave us as metalheads can never be repaid. So many of us live and breathe heavy metal, and without metal in our lives, it wouldn't be as good. And we have Ozzy Osbourne to thank for that. How was he in the show? He was amazing. His voice cracked a couple of times, especially during Mama, I'm Coming Home. He did a solo set, then a set with Black Sabbath, and again with his voice as rough as it was, and to realize the strength it took him to get on that stage, as bad as he felt had to feel, it made it. I think he reached the peak of his career that day at the Aston Villa Stadium in Birmingham. Ozzy Osbourne's hometown, he made his final appearance on stage in a way that could never be forgotten. Because of his health problems that stopped him from moving on his own, Ozzy was brought on stage in a large black chair, often described by many as a throne of darkness. Even though he was in a wheelchair, the image of him slowly being raised in the middle of a sea of fans created a moment full of meaning, both royal and emotional. If Ozzy ever dreamed of writing his own ending to his career, that moment was the perfect ending. The performance wasn't just a concert, it was a ceremonial gathering of an entire legendary generation. Famous names like Metallica and Guns N' Roses, bands that Ozzy had inspired and paved the way for, were all present. Their presence was not just attendance, but a living tribute, a silent thank you to the elder who had shaped the very genre they followed. The moment Ozzy was lifted in the spotlight, surrounded by thousands of cheers, the wave of emotion from the crowd and the familiar melodies quickly became an image shared across world media. It was no longer just a performance. It was a farewell ceremony, a final anthem, closing the grand chapter of one of the greatest figures in the history of rock music. And at that concert just over 2 weeks ago, all the kids were there. Amy, Jack, Kelly, with their kids, with their partners. The grandchildren were there. Ozzy's children from his first marriage, all the staff that have worked for them for decades, which always says something about somebody, doesn't it, when you keep the same staff? And it was a real family affair. And so I kind of take some comfort from the fact that he was able to do that and be there with all of them, and for them to see him performing. I got to back up. We got to be quiet. Hold on. Kelly, I love you more than anything in the world. Get up. You don't do that. Make me happier than spend the rest of my life with you in front of your family and all of your friends. Kelly, can you marry me? Applause. Oh my God. Applause. That's incredible. Honestly, when I did America's Got Talent, we would fly around America doing the audition shows, and Ozzy would just appear randomly in Miami or Seattle or whatever, and we'd go out for dinner. And I remember one hilarious one was when it was me, Sharon, and Ozzy having dinner, and Kelly turned up with some random boyfriend she had at the time, and they got very bored very quickly with these three oldies talking. So they left, and then they went around, and there were windows like this, like French windows, doors. So with glass fronts, and the pair of them dropped their pants and mooned through to the three of us, and Sharon and Ozzy were like angry, and they're like, "This is disgusting behavior." I went, "From you two? Really? You don't think that's a product of their environment?" And then Ozzy burst out laughing. He laughed like crazy for about 10 minutes because he realized how silly it was to try to pretend that his child wasn't going to behave a bit like him. But they were a special couple. After Ozzy's final performance as he was surrounded by family and friends, a special event happened in his presence. Ozzy's daughter's boyfriend proposed to her, a moment filled with happiness and deep meaning. Despite his weakened health, Ozzy still felt joy and pride seeing his daughter start such an important life stage. While he couldn't attend the wedding, he expressed a desire to see her walk down the aisle and hoped she would have a happy life with her partner. This showed Ozzy's deep care for his family, especially his daughter. Throughout his life, despite facing countless challenges, he always thought family was his top priority. And seeing his daughter being proposed to was one of the most beautiful moments of his final days. At that time, a letter from Ozzy was revealed in which he expressed sadness for not being able to attend his daughter's wedding, but instead of being sad, he sent his best wishes, hoping she would have a life full of joy, happiness, and peace. These were the heartfelt words of a father who, though unable to be by his daughter's side in her most important moment, still wished nothing but the best for her. Ozzy Osbourne was not just a music legend. He was also a father, a grandfather, and a living symbol of the rock generation. When he passed away, it was not just the loss of a star, but the end of an era in music history. However, even though Ozzy is no longer with us, his legacy lives on through his family and the generations that follow. The Osbourne family, especially Sharon, Jack, and Kelly, are the ones who keep safe and carry forward everything Ozzy built. Looking back on his life's journey, Ozzy Osbourne gave not only his music, but also his very soul to a generation of rock lovers, becoming an immortal icon in the music world. Born into a poor family in Aston, Birmingham on December 3, 1948, Ozzy grew up in a crazy environment. His parents constantly argued, and the family home was far from peaceful. As the third child in a large family, he lived in poverty and need. His childhood memories were filled with sadness, fights, violence, and a deep lack of love. Yet even in those early years, Ozzy discovered a burning passion for music, a place where he found comfort and hope. Ozzy's life truly began to change when he joined Black Sabbath in the late 1960s. It was a big turning point that changed a poor young man into a world-famous music star. Black Sabbath, with its heavy and dark sound, became a pillar of heavy metal, and Ozzy, with his unique voice, was the soul of the band. Albums like Black Sabbath, Paranoid, and Master of Reality not only marked important milestones in his career, but also completely changed the face of rock music. Songs like Iron Man, War Pigs, and Paranoid became eternal classics, putting Ozzy Osbourne's name in music history. However, Ozzy's life was far from smooth. Throughout his years of fame, he faced countless personal struggles. Battles with drugs and alcohol took a heavy toll, but his toughness and inner strength helped him survive those darkest periods. Despite many setbacks, Ozzy never gave up his love for music. After leaving Black Sabbath, he started a solo career that achieved amazing success with albums like Blizzard of Oz, Diary of a Madman, and Bark at the Moon. Songs such as Crazy Train, Mr. Crowley, and Shot in the Dark continued to show his amazing talent, making him one of the most successful solo artists in rock history. A really important part of his journey was his marriage to Sharon Osbourne. Despite facing many trials, their relationship became a cornerstone of Ozzy's mental and emotional stability. Sharon was not only a loyal wife, but also a brilliant manager who stood by his side through every difficulty from health crisis to career problems. Together, they built a strong family and became each other's greatest support. Sharon played a vital role in helping Ozzy overcome his addictions and regain his place in the music world. Ozzy Osbourne was more than just a music star. He became a pop culture phenomenon, especially through the reality TV series The Osbournes in the early 2000s. The show gave fans an intimate look into Ozzy's offstage life, showing not just the rock legend, but the father and husband. Despite his personal struggles, he remained tough, optimistic, and full of passion. From a poor boy in Birmingham to a global music legend, Ozzy Osbourne overcame all odds to build a legendary career and leave an unforgettable mark on rock music. His legacy goes beyond iconic albums and electrifying performances. It's the story of a man who lived fully, fought fiercely, and inspired millions around the world. His music will echo forever in the hearts of fans, and his life story will continue to inspire all those who chase their passions and never give up on their dreams. On July 22, 2025, when Ozzy passed away, the world of music lost a legend. But his death was not just the end of a great career. It marked the closing of a chapter in rock history, one defined by Ozzy's permanent influence. Though he may no longer walk the stage, the legacy he left behind, his legendary music, his love, his sacrifices, and his unbreakable strength will live on in the hearts of fans and generations to come. In his final days, even as he battled sickness, Ozzy remained a shining star to his admirers. Sharon, his devoted wife, was not only his musical companion, but also his rock. During the toughest times, Sharon shared that despite the many changes life had brought over the years, The love and unity within their family never wavered. We never judge by race, and I will never stay silent just to protect reputations. Sharon confirmed proof of her unwavering loyalty to her family and the values they held over the decades. Sharon also played a key role in helping the Osborne family navigate the challenges of mental health as Ozzy faced Parkinson's disease. Our family has changed, but we've been together every day for the past 5 years, she said. Even as she watched her partner weaken, Sharon remained strong. A pillar not only for Ozzy but for their children, Jack and Kelly. Jack Osborne, Ozzy's son, grew up into a strong and tough man. No longer the little boy on TV, Jack carried on his father's legacy. After overcoming multiple sclerosis, he proved that no matter how difficult life may be, the Osborne spirit remains unbreakable. "We lost the father we once knew and were left with a weak man," Jack said in his final interview. Yet the love and memories Ozzy left behind live on in each family member's heart. Kelly Osborne, Ozzy's daughter, faced her own share of life's challenges. But she too learned wisdom from her parents, especially from Ozzy. He was a better grandfather than a father. "And that's not a criticism, but a journey of making things right," Kelly said. Her words show a maturity in how she came to understand and accept her father's flaws. Still, she loved and respected him deeply. The man who taught her the true meaning of family and unconditional love. Ozzy Osbourne's life is a story of toughness. From a man once associated with controversy, addiction, and shocking behavior, Ozzy changed himself into a beloved and respected musical legend. The challenges he faced, from being fired from Black Sabbath to having severe health issues later in life, prove one thing: nothing could defeat pure determination and an unbreakable will. When looking back at Ozzy's path to recovery, one cannot overlook his battles with addiction. It was a long and painful journey, but with the constant support of his family, especially his wife, Sharon, Ozzy found sobriety and came back stronger. He fought relentlessly against his inner demons, step by step, overcoming what seemed impossible. Even in his later years as he battled Parkinson's disease, Ozzy remained determined, continuing to create and perform, proving that nothing could stop his passion and dedication to music. His years of struggle taught him vital lessons about patience, endurance, and the importance of family support. Through fighting temptation, Ozzy discovered the strength to rise from failure. His life is not just a tale of musical success, but a powerful lesson in recovery and a living testament to never giving up, even in the face of the greatest difficulty. Throughout his life, Ozzy always viewed his family as the anchor that kept him grounded through the chaos of his career. No one can deny the key role Sharon Osbourne played in helping him through his darkest days. Their love story stands as a powerful symbol of enduring family love tested by countless storms. Sharon was more than just a wife. She was his manager, his partner, and his savior from the destructive grip of drugs, alcohol, and self-destruction. Her patience and unconditional love helped Ozzy keep his career alive and weather the darkest periods of his life. Together they navigated crisis, raised a family, and turned their shared pain into strength. Sharon helped Ozzy become a more loving and appreciative man than he had ever been. The love of family helped Ozzy find peace in his soul as he weathered the storms of life. His final message before his passing was a testament to the deep love he held for Sharon and their children. He didn't want his family to suffer from grief over his departure, nor did he want to leave behind the ghosts of his past. He forgave those who had hurt him and asked his loved ones to let him go in peace, free from bitterness. One of the greatest lessons Ozzy Osbourne leaves behind is the power of forgiveness and the ability to embrace the past. His life was filled with mistakes, from his poor, painful youth to his self-destructive behavior at the height of his fame. But rather than live in regret, Ozzy chose to face his wrongs and learn to forgive himself. In his final moments, Ozzy not only forgave others, but also found peace with himself. He refused to dwell on the past or let sadness consume him. Instead, he sought reconciliation with his life and his soul. His final message carried a clear and moving reminder. Forgive your past mistakes so you can live peacefully in the present. Ozzy knew that without forgiveness for himself and others, true peace would be impossible. It's a deep message he wanted to leave behind, not only for his family but also for fans around the world. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, it means freeing ourselves from resentment and pain. Ozzy Osbourne's final message is a heartfelt reminder of the importance of family love and forgiveness. He endured so many hardships, but it was the love of his family and the strength of his spirit that made him the man he became. His life proves that nothing is impossible if we have the courage to face and overcome every challenge. Ozzy Osbourne's legacy lies not only in his music and achievements, but also in the invaluable life lessons he leaves behind about perseverance, love, and forgiveness. Though he is no longer with us, his messages will live on, continuing to inspire us all on this challenging journey of life. Thank you for joining us in honoring the life and legacy of Ozzy Osbourne, a true musical and family legend. His story and that of the Osbourne family will forever live in the hearts of fans. If you found this video meaningful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss more moving stories and tributes to musical icons. Leave a comment below and share your thoughts about Ozzy Osbourne and his incredible family,